Hope everyone is doing good. In this session, we are basically going to be reviewing whatever we have done in week 7, right? And let's see what did we do when it comes to grammar, when it comes to speaking, reading, writing, and listening. So with that being said, I will share my screen to the PPT for the day. And okay, so today it is an IELTS review and practice for week 7, right? In this session, essentially, we will review the key concepts, whatever we covered. We will also review the important skills that are required when it comes to listening, reading, writing, and speaking, right? We'll also focus on addressing any kind of challenge, right, or any kind of additional support where it's needed. We'll also work on improving our overall IELTS performance, right, with any targeted exercise that is necessary. So we will try to do that. There are a lot of activities and exercises that you can try as well, but we'll see. So what were the key concepts and strategies that we saw? So in advanced grammar, we reviewed complex sentence structures, right? We tried making conditional sentences. We tried using a lot of clauses, right? So we did independent, dependent, conditional clauses. We looked at a little bit of linking words that were required, some conjunctions. So we had subordinating conjunctions and coordinating conjunctions. So subordinating conjunctions like the fanboys. Fanboys is an acronym for different kinds of conjunctions that we looked at. We developed some reading and listening practice. So we read, we found out some keywords that were required and were essential. So we went through that. We also did some listening practice, especially the maps, right? Because I feel maps are something that can use a little bit more practice, right? So maps are extremely important. Trying to figure out the directions and being able to mark the answers as the audio is going on is important. Then we also did some writing practice. We looked at how we can develop different paragraphs, how we can connect ideas, so on and so forth. Right. So we did a lot of activities based on that, right? We discussed some concepts, some strategies, we discussed some tips. We also discussed what are the potential errors that we can make, right? And that's pretty much it. Even though it's a timed test, I would suggest not to rush it that much. Advanced grammar, we will study about, the structure of conditional clause. So for example, we were also studying about if I dash harder, I would have passed the exam. If I studied harder, I would have passed the exam. She dash happy if she had known about the surprise party. She would have been happy if she had known about the surprise party. So again, these are complex structures, right? And we need conjunctions to connect these ideas. Then we also did some listening practice, right? Again, maps in general, in specific. But besides maps, we also did fill in the blank kind of things, right? We have to really focus, especially when it comes to part 1 of listening. There's a lot of focus on dates, names, places, the spellings of them, quantity. So there is a lot of numbers that is specific to the part, like part 1. Part 2 is majorly about fill in the blanks, right? Those kind of questions. Part 3, you mostly have multiple choice questions, and part 4, or maybe even diagrams or things like that. Part 4 is more complex MCQ kind questions that can come. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But you will still not be getting very direct answers in part 3 and part 4. Again, I feel part 3 and part 4 are most difficult when it comes to listening because the intensity grows from part 1 to part 4. So again, I would suggest you, even while you're doing listening, think about what is the current situation, because even if you don't really understand or if you miss on some questions, you can always just imagine the situation and finally guess your answer based on that, right? To see what are the specific details that are mentioned, right? What is the main topic of discussion, so on and so forth. So that is pretty much it. I mean, even if it's these are the kind of questions that are not probably directly asked, this would really help you improve your active listening skills. Then we had reading passage analysis. Again, this is not directly related to your reading in IELTS, but this would specifically improve your reading skills. Again, when we were talking about reading, I told you about skimming and scanning instead of reading in detail. Until and unless you have a specific question related to it, only then read in detail, right? But otherwise, I don't think it's just you need to have an idea. You need to create an imagery in your mind, right? That what can this information or reading passage be about, right? So I would suggest focus on that instead of spending a lot of time on reading. Skim through it, scan it properly, and I would suggest just, speed read. Try to speed read, try to gather the information, mark keywords, write one line or maybe lesser or like a couple of words for each paragraph so that you know what first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth paragraph is talking about, right? That would really help you navigate. Then we also did some writing tasks, right? Especially essays in this part in this week. Essays are super important. They contain more marks. They follow particular kind of structures. For essay, they will judge you based on your grammar, on your complexity, on your vocabulary, um, and what is the structure that you have used, right? If you are able to, I guess, talk about it in a logical and coherent manner, right, or not. So these are different criterias, right, that are used to judge your writing as well. So for example, some people believe that government should prioritize spending on public services such as healthcare and education over arts. I think we have discussed this exact thing. We have written like an essay on it as well, like at least, if not an essay, at least a couple of ideas on it, right? So you need to make sure that you are aware how to write an introduction, how to start about it by generally speaking about this topic, whatever you know about this topic, and then moving forward and building your criterias on that. So yeah, I think that was pretty much it about writing as well. Then we did speaking. We just spoke in the last video about different aspects of speaking, what we need to follow. Always explain what you're speaking and do not hesitate. Even if you have made some mistake, make sure you're rectifying those mistakes and you're just learning from them. And that should be pretty much it about speaking as well. So key concepts from week 7 were advanced skills. We gave an introduction to advanced skills. There are definitely always there is a scope for improvement, no matter, even if you are at a beginner's, mediums, or an advanced stage, there is always a scope for improvement. And I would suggest for this small time that you have for preparation for your final IELTS exam, I would suggest give it maximum practice. Solve maximum mock questions, question papers. It's super important. If you have any problems, discuss it with your friends, discuss stuff, make English a center of your attraction, right? When it comes to any form of media, consume any form of media that you can, right? And for homework, to be honest, I can really suggest you now going and try and solving mock tests that are available online. Even when you apply for IELTS, they give you a mock test booklet. So try to solve questions based on that. And eventually, in further lessons, we will also try and solve some questions. So I would suggest that that is almost pretty much it about what we can discuss in week 7's review, right? In week 8, we will try to focus more on mock tests, right? and make sure that we are practicing, we have an idea, we have the whole structure of the test as well, and that would really help us make our I would say our focus better, right? So with that being said, I will see you in the next session, and I hope you're able to practice a little bit of IELTS from your part as well. So see you next time.